Right, hello guys and welcome back. In the Monument of Triumph update, Bungie went absolutely crazy on the armor sandbox and added 37, yes 37 brand new armor set bonuses to Destiny 2. And keep in mind that up until that point, across almost an entire year of set bonuses being a thing since the Edge of Fate released, we had only received a total of 19 of them thus far, meaning that Monument of Triumph added almost double the amount of set bonuses we already had. And naturally, given that it became a tradition on this channel to review, critique, and break down these bonuses so that you could make informed decisions on which ones to run, I took it upon myself to farm out all 37 bonuses to bring out today's video where I'm breaking down all of them under one giant umbrella, including a summary section at the end discussing which sets and set combos are the best/meta for most PvE activities. This video has taken a while to make and I appreciate you all for being so patient. Don't worry, I've seen your comments asking when it's dropping, so wait no more, dear viewers. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, your like and subscription would be seriously appreciated, and I've also gone ahead and created a YouTube playlist featuring the previous 3 entries of this series if you're looking to fully study up. Link in the description, but without further ado, let's begin this mammoth of a video. Enjoy! First on the list is the Apostate's Blade armor, earned via encounter completions and secret chests within the Pit of Heresy dungeon. The 2-piece regenerative threshold states that performing a finisher stores power. The next time your shields are broken, consume power to immediately heal and start health regeneration. And taking a look in-game, performing a finisher grants the regenerative threshold buff on the left, and subsequent finishers do not increase how many stacks you have. It's just capped at 1, and then upon reaching critical health, the buff is consumed, and I immediately heal for a small chunk of health and begin regenerating. The exact amount of health is 20 HP, and unfortunately the regeneration is interruptible. So in most real-world situations, it's for all intents and purposes a 20 HP heal when your shields break. Not terrible, but not great either. The 4-piece melee conduction bonus is a lot more interesting because it reads, while you have Radiant, Restoration, or Cure, your melee hits release a burst that will scorch the target. And this works just as well as you'd expect with something like a Solar Titan with Throwing Hammer. Each hammer now applies a chunk of Scorch and burns the enemy. 20 or 30 Scorch per hit, assuming you have Ember of Ashes, meaning it takes 4 melee hits to cause an ignition. Unfortunately, the bonus also has a 1-second internal cooldown, meaning you can't spam melee to trigger a fast ignition. However, for what it's worth, the bonus does also work with glaive melees. Next up is the Circuit armor, earned via uncommon drops at the end of Sparrow Racing League matches. The 2-piece Revving Up bonus states that fast movement builds up a charge that gradually increases your health regeneration speed. Once you are fully revved, sprinting grants speed booster, and taking a look in-game, sprinting or fast movement, including swings from eager-edged swords, or boosting on a Sparrow, which is actually the fastest way, builds up stacks of revving up on the left, and slowing down causes them to rapidly decay. However, upon reaching 10 stacks of the buff, it converts into fully revved, and from here on, sprinting will always provide speed booster, which, as a reminder, increases your sprint speed by 12.5%, increases jump height by 25%, and provides a 15% damage resistance while active. Very appropriate for an armor set coming from SRL. The 4-piece Dielectric Drift bonus reads, sliding while speed booster is active jolts combatants in front of you. And yep, that's exactly what it does, though the annoying part is that it doesn't cause enough of a damage impulse for the jolt to actually begin chaining and dealing damage. You need to damage the affected enemies with something else first. Bit of a gimmicky set bonus, and certainly pale in comparison to some of the other 4-piece bonuses we'll encounter, but at least it's on brand. Coming up next is the Atheon's Memory set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Vault of Glass raid. The 2-piece Radiolaria Breach states that after picking up an Orb of Power, the next time your shields are broken, gain a bonus to health stat for a short duration and release a burst of Radiolaria around you. And taking a look in-game, collecting an orb grants Radiolaria Breach on the left-hand side, and then breaking my shields causes a splattering of several Radiolaria pools around me, causing an initial explosion and a small amount of resulting damage over time. Plus, it also gives an additional 50 health stat for 7 seconds when the explosion occurs. Not bad, but the real reason we are actually here is because of the 4-piece bonus. Collective Power states that while you have a subclass buff, dealing sustained damage creates an Orb of Power. And notice how in this clip, every so often my armor charge is continually being replenished as long as I am radiant. And that is because of this perk. You literally spawn an Orb of Power at your feet that gets immediately collected, which is excellent for so many reasons, but particularly in places like raid or dungeon dungeon bosses, because during a boss fight you can now rely on this armor to continuously refresh any active weapon surges or stat fonts you may have. The orbs can accelerate the rate at which Still Hunt is able to recharge its special mode, and the orbs can help to offset the armor charge consumption that artifact perks like Argent Quiver or Argent Ordnance cause. And the armor set only gets better the more people on your team use it. Imagine having 6 people continuously producing orbs to help with all of the above. This armor works with all of the light and dark elemental buffs. Examples include Amplified, Radiant, Devour, Frost Armor, and Woven Mail. Suffice it to say, the Vault of Glass 4-piece is one of, if not the single best meta picks for damage loadouts in raids and dungeons. I have already featured the use of it heavily in previous DPS videos posted on the channel, so what are you waiting for? Get yourself in the Vog Mines. Next is the CODA armor set, earned from encounter completions and secret chests inside of the Prophecy dungeon. The 2-piece Between Poles states that final blows with light weapons grant stacks of light polarity, which grants grenade stat. Final blows with darkness or kinetic weapons grant stacks of dark polarity, which grants stacks of melee stat, which is a bit of a mouthful, so here's the simple version. Getting a kill with either light or dark/kinetic weapons grants either light or dark polarity on the left, and in the clip I'm using the kinetic Praxic Blade and getting up to 5 stacks of dark polarity. And according to Compendium, at 5 stacks of each buff, light and dark polarity grant plus 40 stat points to their respective stats, which is actually quite good, and with each stack lasting for 10 seconds, it's very easy to maintain. The 4-piece So Very Thin bonus reads, final blows with light weapons grant additional grenade energy. Final blows with dark or kinetic weapons grant additional melee energy. Rapid final blows that alternate between light and darkness grant a short period of damage resistance, which again is a lot to unpack, so here goes. Getting kills with light weapons recharges your grenade, around 16% per kill, and then swapping to a dark or kinetic weapon grants resist ×3, which is a huge 40% damage resist, by the way, for 5 seconds. And then kills with dark or kinetic weapons do the same, but for melee energy, and then swapping back to a light weapon grants resist ×3 again, and the cycle repeats. Using a light weapon such as Hammerhead with Demolitionist allows for even more grenade energy to be generated. At 100 grenade stat, it takes only 5 kills to fully recharge it. This armor is a great example of what committing to a full 4-piece should reward. It requires a little bit of planning ahead and carefully curating your loadout, but if you build around it, you will get massively rewarded for it with the single highest damage resistance any single armor set bonus in the game offers, as well as potent ability regeneration. And as for a potential build example, consider using Dead Messenger with the Demolitionist Catalyst and Armamentarium on Titan. You would theoretically be getting around 36% grenade energy per kill, and with how easy it is to chain multi-kills with Dead Messenger, as you can see from the footage, I'm getting my grenade back so incredibly quickly, it's actually awesome. Not to mention, hot swapping to Mint allows me to take advantage of the damage resistance too. I don't have a fully optimal set yet, but I'm seriously considering turning this into a build video. This armor set is very well designed. Coming up next, we have the Crota's Memory set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Crota's End raid. The 2-piece Cursed Fist bonus states that melee final blows trigger a Cursed Thrall explosion, and it does exactly what it says. Melee kills create a small arc damage explosion, which also works with glaives, by the way. And the explosion itself doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage, but one of the things I was most keen on investigating was whether it had any synergy with Necrochasm, because Necrochasm's second trait, Desperation, states that reloading after a precision final blow or a final blow with a Cursed Thrall explosion increases your rate of fire and improves stability and aim assist. And upon testing, unfortunately, the Cursed Thrall explosions caused by the Crota's Memory set do not appear to activate Desperation for Necrochasm, which is a bit of a bummer. It's definitely a fun 2-piece that could work in some melee builds, though I do wish the explosions did a little more damage. The 4-piece Power of the Sun bonus reads, being in combat for a duration grants progressively more flinch resistance and damage resistance versus combatants. And the way this works is that after being in combat once every 12 seconds, as long as you remain in combat, you gain 1 stack of Power of the Sun on the left, which stacks up to 2 times. And at 2 stacks, you get a flat 25% damage resistance. For some reason, when I was testing, I didn't get up to 2 stacks even well past 24 seconds, so it might be a visual bug, though it is pretty solid and works well with weapon perks like Frenzy or Chaos Reshaped that share similar behaviors and timers. Not bad overall for Crota's End, and definitely on brand. Next is the Crystocrene armor, earned via several sources from the Europa Patrol destination. The 2-piece resupply bonus reads, after being out of combat for a moderate duration, your next final blow grants additional ammo progress and creates an orb of power. And this set is actually bugged, presumably permanently, to where it actually does this. Every 12 seconds, your next final blow grants additional additional ammo progress and creates an orb of power. The out of combat string is incorrect and simply works on a 12-second cooldown, and the amount you get is 20% additional special and heavy ammo meter progress on kill. Pretty solid, and is one of the 2 specialized ammo generation set bonuses. The other we will get to later, but if you love lots of ammo, then this armor will be right up your alley. The 4-piece From the Storm bonus reads, after being out of combat for a moderate duration, slowly gain frost armor until you re-enter combat. And for this to work, you need to be out of combat for at least 12 seconds, and then you will slowly begin to generate stacks of frost armor. And as long as you aren't in combat, you will retain all stacks until you are. Not bad, but you'll never notice this effect in PvE really, because you're normally always in combat, and stasis subclasses already have super easy methods of upkeeping frost armor, so I definitely think this is geared more towards PvP, if anything. Moving along, next we have the Cyberserpent Null armor set, killer name by the way, which is earned exclusively from Gambit. The 2-piece Adrenal Rush bonus reads, sprinting for a short time grants a period of improved reload speed and handling. Final blows extend this period. And as you can see, after sprinting for half a second, I get 5 seconds of Adrenal Rush on the left, and then subsequent kills refresh the timer. And during this time, you gain plus 30 handling and reload speed, and by the way, continuing to sprint also refreshes the buff. The 4-piece Bountiful Munitions bonus states that while Adrenal Rush is active, Final Blows grants special ammo progress. Final Blows against powerful combatants, Guardians, and Techeun grants additional progress. So I loaded up versus a bunch of orange bar Techeun, and yeah, you do actually gain quite a lot of meter progress from kills. It took around 3 or 4 kills to spawn a brick, and then for non-Techeun orange bars, it was a little slower, taking around 5 to 6 kills to spawn a brick. I would say this is pretty good, however, it is a 4-piece investment, and later there is a 2-piece that does basically the exact same thing, but I could see this set being fun inside of Gambit because of the amount of Techeun you face. Next is the Dark Age armor, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Warlord's Ruin dungeon. The 2-piece Taking Initiative bonus reads, hitting combatants with melee attacks or sword strikes grants a stack of initiative, giving bonus handling and reload. Stacks decay slowly over time, and the nice part is that the stacks decay one at a time rather than all at once, stacking up to 5 times. And currently the actual bonuses are unknown with regards to reload and handling, but that's not the main thing we're here for, because the 4-piece Healing Initiative reads, while you have initiative, using your class ability creates a stationary healing aura. The aura gains increased healing based on the number of initiative stacks. So taking a look in game, using actually the caster also from Warlord's Ruin, I can stack up to initiative times 5 on the left, and then using my class ability will spawn a healing drone that periodically heals me. The amount of healing is based on the number of stacks of initiative you have, healing for 10 HP per stack, meaning with 5, this is 50 HP per pulse of the drone, which pulses for a total of 5 times. You can actually do some pretty cool build crafting where if you are running, say, a combination blow loop, after every melee kill you are spawning one of these drones, which not only looks funny, but is actually really good for healing too. Something to consider when making your next melee or sword focus build for sure. Next we have the Deep Explorer armor earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Duality dungeon. The 2-piece Built Bitter bonus reads, taking damage increases the reload speed of your equipped weapon until it is stowed. Taking more damage increases the effect. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, this is a really boring effect. It stacks up to 10 times, and yeah, the reload is nice, but the condition to achieve it is not amazing. The 4-piece Bittersweet bonus reads, when you stow a weapon, restore health based on the number of Built Bitter stacks lost. And when stowing a weapon with 10 stacks, as you can see, I do regen my health and shields fully, but as a 4-piece investment, I'm hesitant to recommend it since there are other 4-piece bonuses like CODA that are also centered around survivability that are just way better in my opinion. Enjoying the breakdown so far? Well, we have just made it to the 10th armor set, the Dreambane armor earned from various sources on the Moon Patrol Destination. The 2-piece Nightmarish power states that final blows to a challenging combatant or higher ranked target grant unstable essence. When you have unstable essence, you receive grenade and melee stat bonuses. And weirdly, this buff appears on the top of your screen, presumably to mimic the buff of the same name granted by killing nightmares across the solar system and collecting the nightmare essence they drop. And out of curiosity, I wanted to test if it also increased your damage versus nightmares, just like the original. And actually, the answer is yes. Normally, my sniper hits for 1,153 versus Carl, but then after I killed a nearby yellow bar, this jumps to 1,730, exactly a 50% damage increase. And I tested again without the 2-piece Dreambane versus a different Nightmare Lost Sector, this time with the essence, and I hit for roughly 1,700 again. So they match. Pretty cool interaction, to be honest. If you love patrolling the moon Techeun, wearing this two-piece now prevents the need to collect the Essence Nightmares drop. Simply get a kill on any nearby major and you're off. Besides this, the stat bonuses you get from this set are plus 30 to both your melee and grenade stats, not too shabby. And this is all from a two-piece, by the way. The four-piece Nightmarish Resilience reads, when you have unstable essence, rapid weapon damage or final blows heal you and begin health regeneration. And this one is a bit gimmicky. Basically, you need to score enough damage within a certain time frame to begin regenerating not your shields, but your base health, and then shields. It's a bit weird, and I wouldn't recommend it as a four-piece investment, but at least the two-piece set has a pretty neat interaction. Next is the Eutechnology armor set, earned exclusively from Pinnacle Ops activities inside of Vanguard Ops. The two-piece Gift of the Ley Lines bonus reads, rapidly defeating combatants with void energy spawns a void breach. And taking a look, all you need is 3 rapid kills with either a weapon or ability, as long as they are void, and you will then spawn a void breach. Pretty simple, though unfortunately the void breach spawned from this armor adheres to the global 5-second cooldown that all void breaches have, so you cannot spam create them. The 4-piece Techeun's Foresight bonus states that after collecting a void breach, your next final blow with a void weapon triggers a detonation. The detonation is more powerful if it is triggered quickly after collecting a void breach. And as you can see, collecting a void breach grants Techeun's Clairvoyance for 7 seconds on the left, and then getting a kill creates a huge explosion. Pretty neat effect, to be honest. However, if you don't take advantage of the Clairvoyance window, the explosion is noticeably less impactful. So be sure to act quickly, and also versus mages, you can see that the damage sharply falls off. So while it may look cool, it doesn't appear to do a lot of damage. Coming up next, we've got the Exodus Down armor earned from various sources on the Nessus patrol destination. The two-piece Emergency Electromagnet reads, when your shields become broken, collect all nearby orbs of power and ammo bricks, which is actually quite a useful effect. As you can see, by making myself critical, all nearby ammo and orbs get collected. Pretty cool, and a nice effect to have working in the background. The 4-piece Repurpose Charge bonus states that whenever you gain, lose, or spend an armor charge, heal and gain damage reduction for a short time. This effect scales with the amount of armor charge gained, lost, or spent. And there's actually quite a lot that goes into this bonus, so here's the breakdown. Collecting an orb to gain armor charge with the Stacks on Stacks mod equipped to gain 2 charges per orb grants 3 stacks of repurpose charge on the left for about 8 seconds. Then collecting more orbs adds to the repurpose charge timer but doesn't increase the number of stacks. However, proceeding to spend armor charge through something like a special finisher updates the stack count from 3 to 4 and adds 12 seconds to the timer, bringing it up to 18 seconds. Similarly, if I then collected 6 armor charges through creating more orbs, my timer continues to refresh but stays at 4 stacks total. However, if I then threw a melee ability while having a melee kickstart mod equipped, all 6 of my charges are spent and my stack count fully maxes out the timer at 30 seconds and raises the stack amount to 7, which I can then continue to refresh with orbs or other spending or losing, literally for just holding ticking armor charge. Even if I'm doing nothing and I'm sitting there AFK, every time I lose an armor charge while having stacks of repurpose charge, the timer on the stacks continues to refresh, making the potential uptime on this effect virtually unlimited if built around properly. Now, all of that is very well and good, but what do the stacks of the buff actually do? Well, at the maximum 7 stacks, you're now walking around with a total 35% damage resistance, which is very, very good. It's actually the second highest DR amount available from set bonuses, and it doesn't even take that much effort to build into either. Even at 4 stacks of repurpose charge, gained simply from executing a special finisher, you get 29.5% damage resistance. So you don't even need to go crazy with charged up and kickstart mods, just hit a finisher and you're good to go. Suffice it to say, this set is by far one of the best sets in the game for pure neutral utility. If you don't care about flashy effects or slightly more complex activations, the Nessus armor might just be perfect for you. Next is the first Ascent armor earned from various sources in the Paleheart patrol destination. The 2-piece Stack 'em Up bonus states that defeating targets with unique elemental damage grants a stacking bonus to Transcendence energy gains while Transcendence is inactive. And the way this works is that getting multiple kills with different elements grants stacks of Stack 'em Up on the left, and each stack gained up to a maximum of 5 with all 5 elements gives a certain amount of Transcendence energy for both light and dark. However, once you reach 5 stacks, you cannot refresh the buff or get any more additional Transcendence energy gains. And I get what Bungie were trying to do here by giving a way of expediting the process of fully charging your Transcendence meter, but if you know the right tricks, it's so easy to fully charge your meter. Exhibit A for dark energy, simply suspend an enemy and shoot them with a darkness weapon to essentially one-shot your entire dark meter, and Exhibit B, for your light meter, just use something like an area denial grenade launcher or any AoE abilities. And again, it just charges very quickly. Back to the armor though, the 4-piece Burn 'em Down bonus reads, while Transcendence is active, using your grenade ability consumes all stacks of Stack 'em Up to grant an escalating amount of grenade energy. And taking a look, doing exactly that returns roughly 30% of my Transcendent grenade, which is actually not too bad. Remaining in combat would then allow me to build more stacks of Stack 'em Up and therefore get my grenade back even faster than standard Transcendence allows, though in my humble opinion, it is just a bit of an overcook given how easy it already is to loop your abilities while Transcendent. You don't really need the extra energy from this set. Following on from that, we have the Flain armor set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests within the Sundered Doctrine dungeon. The 2-piece Sinew Stitching reads, taking damage from combatants sometimes spawns a threadling, and in-game this amounts to 1 threadling every 4 or 5 seconds, which is okay, but nothing amazing. And the 4-piece Knit Together bonus states that for a short time after your shields break, your next several threadling hits restore health. Again, taking a look, from my testing, I got some wildly different results where sometimes the threadling would fully heal me and other times only grants a small amount of HP. So not quite sure what's fully going on, but when it actually happens, a full heal from a threadling hit is actually quite good. Is it 4-piece investment level good though? Not really. Definitely a fun armor set to run with pure strand builds if you're bored, but overall relatively weak. Next is the Great Hunt armor set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Last Wish raid. The 2-piece Taken Barrier states that grenade final blows temporarily reduce incoming damage, and in-game this equates to 7 seconds of resist ×1, which is a 10% damage resistance. The 4-piece Taken Armaments states that grenade final blows grant additional heavy ammo progress, and if you haven't noticed already, both of these perks are a neat callback to the original raid mods from Last Wish, but back to the 4-piece, that's just it. You get a little more heavy ammo progress from grenade kills. And the nice part is that this does work with the Warlock buddy aspects like Arc Soul, Hellion, Bleakwatcher, Ionic Sentry, and so on, making the full 4-piece a very good choice for the Getaway Artist Prismatic Warlock build. I know I will certainly be grinding it for mine. Next is the Iron Battalion set, earned exclusively from the Iron Banner Crucible event, which, as a reminder, appears once every 4 weeks, with the next scheduled Iron Banner as of the release of this video being the 28th of July. The 2-piece Primary Honing bonus states that it increases handling and reload speed for primary ammo weapons. Primary ammo weapons gain increased damage against non-boss combatants based on your weapon stat, and it scales pretty linearly, with the max of 200 weapons granting an additional 12% damage. Pretty good, and is actually featured in a recent build I posted if you are curious. The 4-piece Super Cyclical bonus reads, final blows while your super is active refund super energy when it ends. And the way this works is by simply scoring at least 6 kills while in super, you'll regain 33% of it after it ends. And it does indeed stack on top of super refund exotics like Storm Dancer's Brace on a Warlock that normally gives 30% back, and as you can see, I get around 2/3 of my super back with both effects combined, which is rather good and incredibly fun for super spam builds. Definitely look out for this set if you haven't already. Next is the Kentarch 3 set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Garden of Salvation raid. The 2-piece Network Admin bonus reads, being near allies creates a relay network that gives the wearer improved handling and reload speed. Being near other allied network admins additionally grants the wearer a bonus to health stat. And taking a look, if an ally approaches you, the relay network buff appears on the left, and as you can see by this slowed side-by-side comparison, the reload is indeed faster, but not by a huge amount. The 4-piece Network Upload bonus states that weapon final blows grant the wearer and nearby allies melee energy, and as you can see, each kill gives a small amount of melee energy and also plays a unique sound effect as well. But compare this to the Prophecy set and it is just plain worse. Yeah, you can give melee energy to your teammates, which is cool, but it's not a lot, and as a 4-piece bonus, it is quite undertuned. Coming up next, we have the Legacy's Oath set, earned via encounter completions and secret chests inside of the Deepstone Crypt raid. The 2-piece Augmented Servos bonus states that powered melees release an additional disorienting pulse when used to defeat a target, which is quite a cool bonus and works very well with Solar Titan because of how frequently you're able to use your melee. In fact, it's the armor I am personally grinding for my perfect forever Solar Titan build. That and Smoke Jumper for the other 2-piece, because you can kind of think of it as effective damage resistance due to the enemies near you temporarily not being able to shoot you. The 4-piece Godlike Judgment bonus reads, when your shields are broken by a combatant, or upon casting your super, release a swarm of heat-seeking micro-missiles. And this has got to be one of my favorite set bonuses because of how awesome it looks while doing it. Spawning a bunch of missiles that hurl themselves towards any nearby target is never not not cool. You spawn 2 when your shields break and 4 when you cast your super. And the missiles themselves do a little bit of damage, around 2,500, so if you wanted, you could prep a loadout that strictly has the 4-piece Legacy's Oath plus a damage exotic like Curious of the Falling Star, 200 super stat, and any super boosting artifact perks like Thunderous Retort to absolutely min-max the hell out of your super, something I will certainly be doing. Next is the Luminopotent armor, earned exclusively from solo and fireteam ops activities inside of Vanguard Ops. The 2-piece Ionic Overclock bonus reads, while amplified, your fusion rifles, linear fusion rifles, and heat weapons gain increased handling, reload, and vent speeds. Pretty simple bonus. Again, here is a slowed side-by-side comparison with and without the bonus. It's definitely working, which is always good to see. The 4-piece Shock and Clear bonus states that final blows with Jolt or against jolted combatants create ionic traces, and this is actually a very good bonus. You can essentially think of it as running the Arc Warlock electrostatic mind aspect at all times. Each jolted enemy kill creates an ionic trace with no cooldown whatsoever. But of course, you can also pair it with electrostatic mind, meaning now every jolted enemy defeated creates 2 ionic traces instead of 1. And with Geomag stabilizers, this makes for an incredibly fun super spam build. I've posted one on the channel already, so if you're keen to put it together yourself, definitely check this one out. Next is the Nezarec's Nightmare armor, earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Root of Nightmares raid. The 2-piece Bad Dreams bonus reads, final blows versus subclass debuff targets have an escalating chance to spawn an orb of power, and it works with any debuff. Void works well due to volatile rounds, and all it actually takes is 3 rapid kills to spawn an orb, and there is no cooldown on this. It's just a neat set effect for spawning more orbs of power than usual with a slightly build-crafty activation condition. The 4-piece Dream Devourer bonus states that performing a finisher versus a powerful combatant grants Devour. While you have Devour, gain damage resistance versus combatants, which is actually a super cool set. Simply finish an orange bar enemy or above and you'll gain Devour, and while you have Devour, you now also gain a flat 20% additional damage reduction, which is very good for any build that has high Devour uptime, such as Void or Prismatic Warlock, Void Titan, or Void Hunter. It's just a super solid set to complement any Void build or a Devour enabler for classes that don't normally have access to it. Definitely gets the stamp of approval. Moving along, we have the Oryx's Memory set hailing from encounter completions and secret chests within the King's Fall raid. The 2-piece Iron Sharpens Iron bonus reads, final blows on Guardians and powerful combatants generate additional ammo progress. And if you're in any capacity part of the endgame community, you've probably heard of this set by now, but if not, allow me to enlighten you. Scoring kills against orange bars or above massively increases the amount of special and heavy ammo meter progress you generate. It takes around 5 or 6 kills to spawn both a special and heavy brick, which is just really good. The craziest part is this used to be so much more broken. It used to only take 2 or 3 kills to spawn a brick with this set on. However, Bungie did nerf it since then to the state I just showcased. The 4-piece Ascendant Escape bonus states that after a final blow on a powerful combatant, the next time your shields are broken, you become invisible, which is super cool. And taking a look in game, there is no indicator on the left on whether you have this perk ready. It just occurs when you reach critical health, granting 6 seconds of void invisibility that also has no cooldown. And despite not having anything to do with damage resistance, this is actually quite a good survivability bonus because the power of having enemies lose targeting on you is very valuable and can get you out of many sticky situations, making this full 4-piece a firm, viable option for anything PvE related. Next is the Pantheos Resplendent armor earned via encounter completions inside of any Pantheon activity. The 2-piece Well Prepared bonus states that picking up ammo grants armor charge, grants a bonus to health stat per armor charge you have. And taking a look in game, hitting a special finisher, which causes a brick to spawn, gives me 1 stack of armor charge when collected. And then, if I equip the Stacks on Stacks mod on my boots, this does indeed get raised to 2 armor charges per finisher, which is pretty cool. But what's even cooler is you can take this a step further by using the Curative Orbs artifact perk on the Slayer Baron Apothecary Satchel, which states, the first time you break a target shield or break the shield of a Guardian using their super, you create an Orb of Power. And for some reason, hitting a finisher counts as breaking a shield, meaning that with every finisher you perform, assuming you started with 3 armor charge and have less than full ammo, you can infinitely chain special finishers. And for that reason alone, this armor set is immediately a cut above the rest. Very nice interaction to have. The 4-piece Down the Line bonus reads, sustained damage on mini-bosses, champions, and bosses increases weapon damage versus base and powerful combatants. Weapon final blows consume 1 stack each. So by dealing damage to a boss, I accumulate stacks of Down the Line all the way up to the max of 10, and then dealing damage to orange bars with my sniper, I hit for 2012, consuming 2 stacks of down the line, and once I run out of stacks, my damage goes down to 1749, meaning down the line is a 15% damage increase, which is pretty good, but unfortunate that it doesn't work the other way around. I would much rather have had it be dealing damage to minors and mages increases damage to bosses by 15% for a few shots or so, especially since this armor set is from Pantheon, which is all about bosses. So overall, the 2-piece is awesome, but the 4-piece I wouldn't necessarily bother with. Coming up next is the Promised armor set, hailing from encounter completions and secret chests in the Salvation's Edge raid. The 2-piece Stable Resonance bonus states that defeating a powerful combatant generates stable resonance, which grants damage resistance and increased weapon damage for the duration. Taking a look, scoring a kill on an orange bar or above grants 12 seconds of stable resonance on the left, as well as 12 seconds of resist times 2, which is a 25% damage reduction, and as for the weapon damage, it is a 7% increase, making this 2-piece really good. 25% DR is quite solid, and on top of that, you're getting a little extra weapon damage too. Sign me up. The 4-piece Resonance Redirection says that while you have stable resonance, continued weapon damage occasionally generates a resonance burst that damages and exhausts targets. And from my testing, this burst occurs very frequently, though it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. However, the value comes from the exhaust, because it can lead to some cool interactions. The Tablet of Ruin artifact has a tier 3 mod called Elemental Supercharger, which states that defeating exhausted or severed targets with weapons that match your super element grants super energy. And if you watch the clip again, my super is chunking pretty massively from defeating all of the exhausted enemies. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking to take a different approach to farming super energy, and you just so happen to love Salvation's Edge. Next is the Resonant Fury armor earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Vow of the Disciple raid. The 2-piece Resonant Plating bonus states that your health begins regenerating immediately after taking melee damage from a powerful combatant. And by getting this champion to stomp me, you can pretty clearly see the effect working, plus there is a sound effect that plays. Unfortunately though, the healing is interruptible. The 4-piece Siphoning Touch bonus reads, gain stacks of Siphoning Touch for weapon or glaive melee hits. Switching weapons heals you and consumes all stacks. And taking a look, weapon hits, or in this case glaive melee hits, give me stacks of Siphoning Touch on the left up to a maximum of 5, and then after damaging myself and swapping weapons, I get a pretty big chunk of health back, consuming all stacks in the process. Not terrible, and I potentially see this working well purely because you don't have to really think about it, and according to Compendium, the max heal is 120 HP, though as we've seen so far, there are other full 4-piece investments that just do more or are generally more interesting than this one. Coming up next is the Reverie Dawn armor earned from various sources in the Dreaming City patrol destination. The 2-piece A Wish for Protection states that taking significant damage in a short time generates a protective wish that makes it harder for combatants to hit you, and grants increased reload speed and flinch resistance. And in-game, this is reflected by a protective wish timer lasting for 7 seconds on the left that appears after some time of receiving damage, and it did kinda feel like I was being hit less while the wish was active. I also tested while amplified at the same time to see if they stacked, because amplified does the same thing, and I could definitely feel the difference, though I'm not sure how much that is because of amplified or the protective wish, but it does indeed work at least. The 4-piece Wish Fulfilled bonus reads, when the protective wish expires, it cures you. Rapid final blows prematurely end the protective wish. And taking a look at the footage again, you'll occasionally notice a cure proc here and there, and by the way, it is cure ×1, which is a 60 HP heal. Not bad, but not great either. Next is the 7th Seraph armor earned from various sources in the Cosmodrome patrol destination. The 2-piece Rasputin's Wrath states that final blows with area of effect damage, solar abilities, 7th Seraph weapons, or Ikelos weapons grant Warmind charges. Each stack of Warmind charge increases your weapon and grenade stats, which is a lot of possible activation criteria, and yes, this set is supposed to be the spiritual successor to the Warmind cell mods from way back in the day. So the simplest way to showcase it is by mimicking how it worked back then. Scoring kills with, in this case, an Ikelos weapon grants up to 10 stacks of Warmind charge that lasts for 10 seconds. And thanks to the Compendium, we know that having these charges increases your weapons and grenade stats by +30 each at 10 stacks of the buff. You can also get stacks by scoring kills with Stasis Crystal Explosions, Sleeper Simulant, Outbreak Perfected. It's quite a long list, though Stasis is probably the most common activator you've seen because of all the Stasis Titan certain builds going around recently that use this armor in particular, mainly for the 4-piece bonus. And speaking of, the 4-piece Rasputin's Arsenal bonus reads, while you have Warmind charges, defeating powerful combatants, destroying a construct, or destroying a tangle releases a solar detonation that damages combatants and heals allies, which in a roundabout way is basically the return of Warmind cells. Take a look here, getting some Warmind charges and then spawning some stasis crystals, which count as constructs, then breaking them causes a distinct Warmind explosion to occur. The same occurs on Strand when breaking a tangle with Warmind charges, though the uptime on this effect is significantly higher on stasis. If you haven't worked it out already, this armor set is by far one of the best 4-piece investments in the game, especially on stasis builds. The 2-piece has good neutral benefits, and the 4-piece takes it to a whole new level of destruction. Coming up next is the Spacewalk armor earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Vesper's Host dungeon. The 2-piece augmented armaments says that primary ammo weapons deal increased damage to disoriented combatants. In testing with a perk like Bewildering Burst, we can see that my scout rifle normally deals 215 damage, but against a disoriented enemy, this is now 248, which is overall a 15% damage increase. So if you're a big fan of primary weapons that happen to roll with Bewildering Burst, this perk and the 2-piece are very synergistic with one another. The 4-piece augmented explosives bonus reads, your grenade abilities release an additional disorienting pulse shortly after detonating, which is kinda cool, but from the footage we can see that the disorient effects only last for about 3 seconds before falling off, so you can't really take advantage of the 2-piece for very long, which is a bit of a bummer. Definitely one of the more lackluster 4-piece bonuses on here. Next is the Taken King armor set earned via encounter completions and secret chests in the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon. The 2-piece The Ceremony bonus states that finishing a combatant or reviving allies initiates a Lucent Hive ritual. While the ritual is active, gain increased super stat. Taking a look, performing a finisher grants 30 seconds of the ceremony on the left, and repeated finishers fully refresh the timer. And according to Compendium, the ceremony grants plus 30 super stat while active. Not bad. The 4-piece is really where it's at though, because Lucent Swarm states that collecting orbs of power extends the ceremony. While it is active, ability final blows occasionally spawn allied arc moths. So first off, the orb extension is quite nice quality of life, and from my testing, it only requires 2 ability kills to spawn the arc moth, which seeks out any nearby target, exploding and applying arc blind to any surrounding enemies. And I know what you're thinking, does this synergize with Mothkeeper's wraps? And the answer is yes. Kills from your moth grenades count as ability kills and will spawn the additional arc moths from the Taken King set bonus. Moth maxing, if you will. The next time Ghost of the Deep rolls around in the dungeon rotator, I will 100% be farming a good set and be crafting a perfect Mothkeeper's build to showcase to all of you. Stay tuned. Following that, we have the Techeun's Regalia set earned via encounter completions and secret chests within the Shattered Throne dungeon. The 2-piece Queen's Foil Rush bonus reads, gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher. When you finish a target, release a slowing burst around you. So as for the first part, performing a finisher gives you a 200 HP overshield, equivalent to the Proximity Ward class item armor mod, so you effectively get this mod for free, and you also get a pretty cool Taken effect while doing the finisher, plus any nearby enemies are briefly slowed within a 7-meter radius. Now is where it gets a little more complicated with the 4-piece Truth to Power bonus, because it reads, gain increasing damage resistance when you deal damage or land final blows. Finishers grant accelerated progress. At max stacks, the recharge rate of your abilities is also increased. So, as you might have seen from the 2-piece demo, while performing finishers, I was also accumulating stacks of Truth on the left, and the maximum is 999 stacks, which by the way is a cheeky reference to the Truth to Power lorebook asking the Guardian to complete the Shattered Throne dungeon at 999 power, plus a reference to the person who actually did that. It's a whole story. Evan has a great video on it if you're curious, but back to the armor. Reaching 999 stacks of Truth plays an intense sound effect and also converts them into 999 stacks of power. And in this state, the stacks won't fall off until you die, and you're also given 15% damage resistance, 50% additional grenade and melee recharge rate, and 35% additional class ability regen rate, which is honestly very good for a 4-piece bonus that doesn't require any extra steps to activate. Just play the game how you normally would, and your Truth stacks will build in the background. Admittedly, 15% DR is a bit low for a 4-piece, especially compared to some of the others we've seen so far, like Exodus Down and CODA, but the ability regen makes up for it. So overall, a very solid armor set. Next is the Thunderhead armor, earned from various sources on the Neptune patrol destination. The 2-piece License to Thrill bonus states that activating your grenade or the Nanotech Tracer missile's origin trait provides stacking resistance to incoming damage at point-blank range. And taking a look in-game, throwing my grenade grants 15 seconds of License to Thrill on the left, and then I can continue to refresh it using Quicksilver Storm because the Nanotech rockets it releases also count for the perk, letting it stack all the way up to ×10. And at this level, you gain a 30% damage reduction to enemies that are within 5 meters of you. So quite a high percentage, but a bit too restrictive in my opinion, although it does depend on the build and your playstyle. The 4-piece Lethal Weave bonus states that defeating an unraveled combatant grants grenade ability energy. If you have max grenade energy, you are granted special ammo meter progress instead, and the energy you get back appears to be roughly 10%, aka about equivalent to Demolitionist, which of course you can stack on top of this benefit, giving even more grenade energy back per kill. And to be honest, there might be something worth investigating here. The new Slice Wire grenade does do a fair bit of damage, and if a build can be found that maximizes the uptime of it, I'd be very interested to try it out with this armor set. The special ammo meter progress is also quite noticeable, though I wouldn't expect you to use this armor solely for this reason. There are better ammo gen armor sets as we have come to discover so far. Next, we have the TM custom armor earned from encounter completions and secret chests within the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. The 2-piece Old Martian Diplomacy reads, stowing a weapon after defeating a powerful combatant or a guardian heals you a small amount and disorients nearby combatants. And as you can see from the clip, it does indeed heal for a little bit, but it also plays a pretty sweet animation and sound effect to indicate it's disoriented every nearby enemy within 12 meters. Which is actually quite a big radius. And of course, you know I had to LARP with the last word for the Cowboy armor set, but as you'll soon discover from the 4-piece, the last word works really well here, because the 4-piece High Noon bonus reads, freshly drawn weapons deal increased precision damage to combatants for a short period. Weapons with the Tex Balance Stock origin trait equipped or exotics manufactured by the Tex Mechanica Foundry gain further increased benefits. So, taking a look, freshly drawing a weapon grants 4 seconds of High Noon on the left, and during this time period, my hand cannon hits for 342, and when the buff runs out, 320, which is roughly a 7% damage increase. For the last word though, with High Noon, it hits for 223, and without, 194, which is roughly a 14% increase. So anything that's Tex Mechanica related gets a pretty big bonus, and then all other weapons get half of that. Other exotics that benefit include Dead Man's Tail, Huckleberry, Taraba, Chaperone, and Prospector. This armor set is pretty good for any boss DPS situations involving damage rotations that favor weapon swapping, because naturally you will have the most uptime on High Noon in these setups. I cover this set bonus pretty extensively in my Warlock DPS guide. If you're curious to learn more, just know that it's a very solid set. Almost at the finish line now, Veritas is the next armor set, and you can earn it from various sources inside of Savathun's Throne World. The 2-piece Lucent Transmutation bonus states that performing a finisher on a combatant or landing successive powered melee final blows generates an elemental pickup based on your light subclass. By the way, it's actually tied to the element of your super, and it won't work for either strand or stasis, only light supers. Taking a look, with a Void super equipped, I make a Void Breach, but again, much like with Eutechnology, the global Void Breach cooldown still persists. The 4-piece Lucent Tithes bonus states that performing a finisher on powerful combatants heals you and generates loyal Void Moths, and in-game, it heals around 50 HP and spawns 3 Void Moths from the target that all track to you and grant overshield. Definitely a unique perk, but not the best. And out of this set and the Taken King armor, I think the Taken King set is definitely the better of the two, at least with regards to Moth synergy, though the Veritas set is indeed very on brand at the very least. Next is the Wildwood armor, earned from various sources on the EDZ patrol destination. The 2-piece Watchtower bonus reads, precision final blows while aiming down sights grant damage resistance until you stop aiming down sights. And going with New Land Beyond for the full Devrim cosplay, as you can see, scoring a single precision kill grants resist ×2 on the left indefinitely until I scope out of the weapon, which by the way is a 25% damage resistance. The 4-piece Field Expertise bonus states that precision final blows with any weapon grant a stacking bonus to reload speed, target acquisition, and weapon damage against non-boss combatants for a short duration. And in-game, getting precision kills grants stacks of Field Expertise on the left up to the max of 5, and at this level I am dealing 10% additional damage with my heavy sniper. Of course, this works on any weapon, but snipers are the easiest to test, and actually on other weapons it would probably be worse because getting a non-precision kill removes all of your stacks. Overall, a pretty weak set bonus, but if you want to LARP as Devrim, then it's perfect. Coming up to the last dungeon set, we have the Yearning Echo armor, earned from encounter completions and secret chests within the Grasp of Avarice dungeon. The 2-piece Untold Greed bonus states that picking up ammo, orbs of power, elemental pickups, or destroying a strand tangle grants stacks of Untold Greed, slightly reducing damage taken and providing reload speed to equipped weapons. When your shields are broken, some stacks are lost, which is quite a mouthful, so here's the simple version. Collecting things like orbs or elemental pickups like stasis shards grants stacks of Untold Greed on the left, and the maximum is 100 stacks. Reaching critical health removes 10 stacks at a time, and if you're above 25 stacks, you get the maximum 15% damage resistance. Not bad. The 4-piece Overflowing Coffers bonus reads, while you have stacks of Untold Greed, orbs of power and elemental pickups provide more of their respective energy, and strand tangles deal increased damage. When your shields are broken, all stacks are converted into a fountain of orbs of power. Again, quite a lot going on. Basically, elemental pickups, such as Ionic Traces, now grant double the ability energy they normally do, so long as you have Untold Greed stacks, which is especially good for Titans, as recent developments have shown it can be used alongside a specialized armamentarium, yes, armamentarium rocket rotation to absolutely cook. Expect a video on this in the near future once I've farmed the right armor. For Tangles, without the armor, they deal 379 damage, but with it, they deal 1,701, which is a 4.5 times increase. And if you're thinking, does this work with Whirling Maelstrom? The answer is yes. The Beyblades turn into mini nukes, and possibly the most unique damage rotation ever was shown to me by Vasco, and credit to Chalky for the clip, where he's on Strand Warlock throwing overcharged slice wire grenades with Apotheos' Veil, which spawn tangles once they're done detonating, and having his Strand Hunter teammate, who's wearing the 4-piece Yearning Echo armor, to pick them up and throw them at the boss, which actually ends up doing an absurd amount of damage for just throwing tangles. This set has seriously opened so many doors on what's now considered a damage strategy. It's actually awesome. The last part makes it so when your health becomes critical, you release a bunch of orbs of power around you, consuming all stacks of Untold Greed, and collecting the orbs lets you start the chain again, so overall S-tier armor set with an insanely high skill ceiling. Next is the Triumphal Anthem set, which is earned from most Crucible activities. The 2-piece Scoot to Loot bonus states that sliding collects nearby ammo and temporarily grants enhanced reload speed and handling to your weapons, which is a bit of a comical effect, but it works. Sliding near ammo collects it straight to your reserves. And then the 4-piece Shoot to Scoot bonus says that dealing damage with your weapons temporarily grants enhanced sliding. Sliding provides damage resistance, and the enhanced slide itself is equivalent to the one you get while in Speed Booster, and the damage resistance appears as resist times 4 on the left, which is a huge 50% resist, though only while sliding, of course. Overall, an interesting armor set, shall we say? I definitely see its uses in low-mans or speedruns, but for everything else, probably not. The last 2 armor sets to cover are the Cruel Electrum set from Trials of Osiris and the Audacia set from Competitive Crucible. And I'm just gonna say it outright, neither of these sets are in any way worth it for PvE. And given that this is a PvE channel and the state of PvP is only going to get worse over time now that we're in end of service, I've opted for a brief summary on what the sets do instead. And I've also been told horror stories about people trying to earn the Audacia comp armor with them being in queue for 10+ minutes, only to not get a piece across far too many matches. And you know, I'm good. The 2-piece for Cruel Electrum grants weapon stats on ally death, and the 4-piece removes you from radar after a primary weapon kill. And the 2-piece for Audacia again gives weapon stats on primary weapon kill, and the 4-piece gives you the equivalent benefits of the 3 movement exotics, Dune Marchers, Stompies, and Transversive Steps. So there we have it. After nearly 10,000 words and 17 pages of script, we've covered what every single new set bonus does inside of Destiny 2 Monument of Triumph. So now it's time to discuss some of the top picks and powerful combos you should be running and prioritize for farming. For starters, anything DPS related in either raids or dungeons or whatever, your best options are the full 4-piece Atheon's Memory from Vault of Glass. The Orb Gen is excellent for so many things like keeping up surges, keeping up Argent mods, charging Still Hunt, or you could go with the full 4-piece TM Custom from Spire of the Watcher if you're doing a heavily swap-based damage rotation to take advantage of the damage bonus, or if you're a Titan, the full 4-piece Yearning Echo from Grasp of Avarice will do do you nicely for rocket rotations. When it comes to stacking and maintaining damage resistance effects, both the full 4-piece Exodus Down from Nessus and CODA from the Prophecy Dungeon are excellent since they offer a maximum 35 and 40% damage resistance respectively, and the CODA set also has ability regeneration benefits too, though the Nessus armor is far easier to maintain and lasts longer. For some real examples, Solar Hunter neutral game builds would benefit massively from Exodus Down, whereas something like an Arc Titan neutral build would benefit more from CODA. If you're looking to become a walking ammo printer, running both the 2-piece Crystocrene from Europa and 2-piece Oryx's Memory from King's Fall will have you spawning so much ammo you won't know what to do with it. Arc builds benefit hugely from the 4-piece Luminopotent armor, Void builds benefit hugely from the 4-piece Nezarec's Nightmare armor, and Stasis builds have never been more destructive than they are now with the 4-piece 7th Seraph armor. Now for some quickfire meta combos, 2-piece Kingsfall and 2-piece Salvation's Edge is great for ammo and damage resist, especially since they both trigger off the same activation condition. 2-piece Deepstone Crypt and 2-piece Smoke Jumper is excellent for melee builds with high uptime like Solar Titan or Prismatic Slide Warlock, or 2-piece Europa plus 2-piece Ion Adapter if you're looking for a non-raid alternative to 2-piece Kingsfall, 2-piece Salvation's Edge. Any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them down in the comments below, but I believe that's going to do it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the video, as it has taken a ton of time and work to put together, and I hope it has also motivated you to go out there and farm for some armor you didn't know you needed. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.